Paris is described in many ways: elegant, romantic, historic, and sophisticated. But Paris has her moods too, and she's never always the same. She changes constantly and sometimes unexpectedly with the seasons. I'm visiting the French capital once again, but this time in the fall, the time of year when the city reveals her hidden charms and secrets best. So join us in Paris. I'm David Celdran, and this is Executive Class. It's autumn in Paris, and the leaves are changing color, and the mood turns melancholic. The days are shorter, and the temperature begins to dip, but no one here seems to mind except the dwindling number of tourists. Fall is the best time for exploring Paris, and no matter how many times you've visited before, the season of autumn gives you a unique perspective of the city. I've been to Paris many times before, but not once have I tried the Bateau Mouche. Not once. Never. I've always thought it was quite touristy. And of course, the lines are so long anyway. But this time of year is different. That's because it's the beginning of the low season in tourism. And the other one, well, the colors of the trees along the Seine are beginning to change color. And that alone is worth the trip. Most people see photos of Paris from above, from the Eiffel Tower usually. But the low-angled perspective of the riverboats provides a more intimate view of the city. The River Seine is more than just the demarcating line between the city's left and right banks. From the Middle Ages onwards, most of Paris's landmarks were built along the stretch of water, and the flat-bottomed riverboats allow you to see them all in a single uninterrupted journey. Some stretches of the river are more stunning than others. The most breathtaking begins at the Pont Alexandre de Troyes, passing under the ornate gilded 19th century bridge that was a gift of the Russian Tsar to the city, and on to the Grand Palais, the National Assembly, and the Place de la Concorde. It's like seeing the best hits of Paris, but in slow motion, and in just a matter of minutes. Museums like the Grand Musée d'Orsay, where the works of the Impressionists are displayed, and the world-famous Louvre, the home of Mona Lisa, and countless other art treasures. I've seen these historic buildings before, but they seem much more brilliant in the golden afternoon light of fall. The Parisians seem to agree. Many head to the banks of the river after school or work to enjoy the view of their city under the canopy of autumn leaves. The Seine splits at the Vert Galant, the western tip of the Ile de la Cité, the birthplace of Paris, and the site of the monumental Notre Dame Cathedral. The skyline along the river is less spectacular from here on, but behind these riverside buildings lie Paris's most beautiful squares, parks, and hidden attractions. The cruise makes its way back along the right bank, offering a second chance to catch details missed on the first pass along the river, saving the ultimate icon of the city for last, the Eiffel Tower. Hard to believe that when it was completed in 1889, Parisians called it an eyesore. But no matter how many times one looks at it, in photographs or in person, the Tour Eiffel will never lose its allure. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Paris is truly the most beautiful city in the world, especially in the golden color and warm light of fall. And at this time of year, there are even better ways to enjoy the colors. Parisian writers of the 18th century invented a term for it: flanerie, to walk aimlessly through the city without purpose or urgency. Today, that person is still called a flaneur, and on this visit, that's what I intend to be, and how I hope to experience this city. It sometimes feels like Paris was designed purposely for flanerie, with footbridges, broad sidewalks, tree-lined avenues, and garden paths that make walking to any part of the city both possible and pleasant.
One of the things that makes Paris so beautiful is its urban design and architecture and its emphasis on lines, perspectives, and uninterrupted views that lead the eye to one of its many grand monuments. And here at the Jardin des Tuileries, you get a good sense of that.
The Jardin is absolutely stunning in autumn, and the patterns produced by the structures and trees in and around the former garden of Queen Catherine de' Medici are a joy to walk through. Or view from the bench by the fountain. Paris, after all, is full of public parks and private gardens, and along with the Tuileries, they provide Parisians and visitors with open space and peaceful refuge from the congestion and chaos of their city. Most tourists converge along the line connecting the Place de la Concorde, the Louvre, and the Notre Dame de Paris. But even in the busiest parts of the city, there's a sanctuary somewhere waiting for you. My go-to place is the Place Dauphine, a quiet square behind the conciergerie. You find these hidden squares by accident, and that's the fun in flanerie. Forget GPS and maps, and simply follow your instincts. Rest assured, even a covered arcade like the elegant Passage Vivienne will lead you onto something.
This is one of my favorite Paris walks. You go through the passageway and emerge here at the Jardin du Palais Royal. It's a garden of the royal palace. Just look at this garden and its flower beds and symmetrical trees. It's one of a kind and only in Paris.
It's not quite a secret garden among locals. Yet strangely, most tourists at the nearby Louvre hardly venture in here.
As I keep on saying, Paris is beautiful in the autumn, but not so much for this square. During spring and summer, the time I like to come here, the leaves are really green and colorful, and of course the flower beds are full of roses. But still, this is still a quiet spot in an otherwise chaotic city. And for that alone, it's really worth coming back here.
But whatever time of year, the Palais Royal is always photogenic. The perfect symmetry of the archways, the tree line and pathways is truly fantastic. The streets on the left bank across the Seine lead to their own secret squares. I've lost myself many times in the maze of Saint-Germain, but somehow always end up at the quiet Place de Furstenberg, listed by locals as among the most charming squares this side of town. The most peaceful walks are, of course, in districts furthest away from the city's center, like the 20th arrondissement, where the sprawling wooded cemetery of Père Lachaise is found. In here, peace takes on an entirely new meaning. Parisians, both famous and less so, are buried and rest peacefully within. It seems macabre, but it's not unusual to find Parisians coming for a stroll or picnic under the trees, though most are here to see the graves of the dead heroes, artists, and celebrities entombed here. The tomb of the nonconformist Victorian-era writer Oscar Wilde is a pilgrimage site for romantics from all over the world. His estate recently installed a glass panel to stop his fans from leaving love notes and kisses on his grave. Another celebrity buried here is Edith Piaf, the tombstone of the Parisian singer behind the iconic song La Vie en Rose is always covered in, what else? Roses. Maps showing the graves of Paris' rich and famous help you from getting lost, but I don't mind losing my way in the company of the lesser known buried beneath the autumn trees. The changing colors and fallen leaves are the perfect metaphor for the cycle of life and death, and Père Lachaise, the ideal setting to enjoy Paris' darkest secrets. Up next, autumn scenes straight out of an Impressionist painting. A visit to the iconic lily pond and garden of Claude Monet at Giverny. Plus seasonal treats, sweet surprises, and a stroll in a secret garden in the chic Marais district.